Morning, Coach. Uh, Aguilar had some troubles during the game, but in that last drive, it looked like he was just spot on. What does that say about him?
No, we're very happy Joey's on our football team, and he's improving each and every week. And he was trying to force some throws there throughout the game, but again, I think it's typical of how Joey plays. He likes to. He gives himself a chance to win, and again, he's a great leader, great ambassador for our team, and again, we're happy he's on our football program.
Had you anticipated a game like that, getting a high scoring affair?
Yeah, I'm not sure what to expect in the Sun Belt anymore. It's I think it's just the conference we live in, and some people say these are dirty, tough, dirty wins, but man, it could be that way all year long. Again, it's just the conference we play in, the kind of competition we have, and but again, credit to ULM, they played a great game.
How can you talk about how big that was to get that stop on right with like a minute left?
Yeah, it was huge. I thought we did a great job with our timeouts, keeping our timeouts, and give us a chance to win the end of the football game. Again, we made some big plays. There were some plays that throughout the game that you can remember. You look at the blocked extra point. That might have been the most biggest play of the game. And then Jordan Favors blocks up a 2-point conversion there in the fourth quarter. And again, our kids kept battling. There was never a doubt they were going to fight to the end, and they did. And those are scenarios we practice every Tuesday and Wednesday, 2-minute situations. And we finally came out on the right end of this time.
Do you ever talk to your kickers before they go out?
Never. I got a lot of confidence in Michael. He's not your typical kicker. He's more like a Michael linebacker. So we let Michael do his thing, and he has a lot of confidence right now. I mean, he has some big kicks in the Wyoming game, and he's kicked the ball off all year long for us. So he's a strong leg, and he has a lot of confidence in himself.
Coach, if I could ask one more question, kind of off the subject, do you have in your repertoire the butt push play on 3rd and inches, 4th and inches, and is that something that y'all have even looked at?
We can't give all our secrets out. It might be there.
So, but you wouldn't hesitate to use it if you had to, and you had it. If you had it in your repertoire, you wouldn't hesitate.
Yeah, I think Monroe averaged 3 yards a carry on that in our game. So it's a great play, and we might have to break it out here pretty soon.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thanks, Dan. We'll go over to Luke.
Hey, Coach, you talked a little bit about Michael there, but, I mean, you're both from West Virginia. What's that meant to have him on your team and just as an impact player as he has been?
No, it's Michael and I have a great relationship, from the same hometown, same high school, and I'm probably a little harder on Michael than most kickers or specialists we have. But it was a proud moment, I think, for him and myself both, because hasn't hit some kicks. If you look back to last year, the chance to walk it off for Georgia Southern, and I remember after that game that I brought him in the office, told him I had a lot of still had confidence in him that he can do the job, and I think it shows up. He's maturing. He knows what to do, and anytime you have confidence in that leg, and that kick would have been good from 60. So just proud of him and everything he's done for our program.
We'll go over to Alan Blondin. Alan?
Hey, Coach. With just the way that the series has developed, does the Coastal Carolina game have any extra significance for you guys?
No, I don't think so. I had a chance to meet Coach Beck through the Sun Belt meetings, and him and his wife, and it's got great respect for him and what he's done. I know where he's been throughout his coaching career, and he's always had high-powered offenses. And again, this is another great divisional game, and we had a chance to play him here in Boone on Tuesday night on national TV. So something we look forward to, but we know we have to improve to give ourselves a chance to win next Tuesday.
And Coach, with their change in offense, obviously they were kind of a unique offense in past years. Does it? I don't want to say easier, but is it easier to prepare against them than it was in the past with their unique offense?
I don't think anything's easy in this conference, and we have with Coach Trickett calling the offense. I've known him for a long time, and everywhere he's been, he's had great offenses, and I don't think that's going to change with Grayson McCall. I mean, he is the best quarterback in our conference right now, in my opinion, and he'll give them a chance to win every single game. And So I just had a chance to watch a little bit of the tape last night. We got back at 7 o'clock again Sunday morning. That's 2 weeks in a row. So we kind of watched a little bit of tape and got here early last night. But it's going to be a great college football game. I expect a large crowd here and at the Rock next Tuesday, and that's what it's about.
Go over to Shawn. Shawn.
Sorry, Coach, your calendar is a little unique over the next couple weeks. How will you kind of use that schedule a little differently? Will there be extra things you'll be able to do or to work on with that schedule?
Yeah, we haven't had a bye week in 4 years here at. We're playing midweek games, and so you have to find some time to give your players off. I mean, it's been 5 weeks of physical football, so we'll take today and tomorrow off, and then practice on Wednesday, then get back onto our normal week. But I think this coming Wednesday is really going to be more about us and things we have to improve on. One's ball security and stopping the explosive plays on defense. So we'll work on us this Wednesday, all the way till Wednesday, then get working on Coastal Carolina.
During your time at App State, your team seemed to have won more than their share of those kind of exciting down to the wire games. What does the team have to do? What goes into kind of staying with it and winning at the end?
I think it goes back, 30 years to when Coach Moore was here, and with Satterfield and Drink and myself, that, our kids believe we're going to win. And I think that's important, and have a great program is to have the confidence you're going to win week in and week out. And we do that. And again, this conference is a lot tougher right now. You've top to bottom. I mean, there's no gimme games. Back when I first got in 16 and 17, there's some games on your calendar that you knew you're going to win, and that's not the case anymore. So, again, I got a great conference and great coaches and great players in this league.
All right, thank you, and thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I saw signs of improvement from our football team. Unfortunately, we turned the ball over way too much to win the game. A lot of credit goes to Georgia Southern. They did a good job and got the victory.
All right, thank you. As a reminder for members of the media, if you have questions, go to reactions and raise your hand. We'll start off with Dan McDonald. Dan?
Morning, Coach.
Morning.
We all know Grayson's not going to throw 4 interceptions in a whole lot of games. Was it something that Georgia Southern was doing, or just something people not being on the same page?
Well, the first one was a scramble. We didn't execute the scramble drill really well. Usually when a quarterback's in duress, you don't run away from them, you run towards them. And you try to get down towards the quarterback, working towards the sideline. So philosophically, when the quarterback scrambles, his eyes should go to the sideline, look for somebody. If he misses out of bounds. Unfortunately, our guy ran away from it, and they undercut us. The first one intercepted. The second one on a corner route was a tough throw. The corner did a good job. He hinged, kind of came back. I think Grayson felt that, put a little air on it, and Sam kind of rounded it. It was a high safety. So high safety is a low ball. Low safety is a high ball, and they were a higher safety. And I think Sam kind of ran into the maybe cut it a little bit too much, but that corner hinged late. And I think Grayson was trying to protect the throw, and it was high. And the kid made a great one-handed toe tap catch on the sideline. The other ball was tipped. Actually, both balls were tipped. And then Max should have caught the check down that went through his hands for the interception at the end. So, it's hard to say. I don't really necessarily think we weren't on the same page or miscues. It's just, the scramble drill is a growing pain thing. You got to continue to work it and coach it. But the other parts just, it's catching the ball. It's a little detailed stuff. It's getting proper depth. It's just different things of that nature.
Your team's right there. You hold them to a field goal midway through the third quarter, right in it, and then you get the interception and the score off the pick six. How do you keep your team going right at that point when things look like momentum switching to the other sideline?
Yeah, that's what I love about our guys. They kept fighting. It was 14-7, and the fake punt got us, or our lack of coverage, a contained guy. They go down and score to make it 14-all, and then we throw the pick in 2 minutes, and they go down and score. And in tribute to our guys, we held them and went down and scored, tied the game up. So it just goes to show you what these guys are made of. You know, they're tough and they keep battling. I'm really proud of them for that. And a lesser team would have caved.
If I could ask one more kind of a different subject question, do you have one of the butt push 3rd and inches, 4th and inches plays in your repertoire, and would you use it in that situation?
I don't want to
without giving away
answer
any.
whether I don't want to answer if we have it or don't, and you could use it.
Hypothetically, if you did have it, would you use it
in a 3rd and 1? Potentially, yes. 3rd or 4th and 1.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you, Dan. We'll go over to Noah. Noah, please go ahead.
Coach, how are you? Obviously, these last 2 weeks, you guys have played midweek games. You play on, Thursday, and then you're coming up and you'll be playing on Tuesday. How challenging is it to have just a different week of preparation, and how are you guys managing that?
Yeah, it's very unique for me. In all the years I've coached, I've never had a Tuesday game. So I'm treading the first time myself. Excuse me. Today's Monday, we play in a week. So you're basically treating this like it's almost like a Saturday or Sunday. And then you start your game week starting tomorrow. And then you'll have to adjust from there with a longer layoff before your next game. So it is unique and challenging. I know our players have done this before. It's really unique and challenging for me because I haven't.
Now, looking ahead, you guys have lost your first 2 Sun Belt games. There's 6 remaining. What was kind of your message to your team? Because at this point, it's went out in this Sun Belt East.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I like the direction. I felt, we talked last week, and I said that losing doesn't define you. It's how you respond to losing. And I felt like our players responded. We played hard. We played tough. We were in a great football game, in a great environment last Saturday night, and had opportunities to win the game. We didn't make plays, and they did. And at the end of the day, the turnovers, when you're on the road against any football team, when you turn it over that much, you're going to lose. And so I think our players understand that. I think they understand the intensity level, the attention to detail, how important practice is to get yourself ready to play a game, no matter when it is or where it is. And we're growing from that. And I hope that we can continue to build on that. That in itself will help us and project us on. And, every team's tough. This is a pretty rivalry game for Coastal Carolina coming up for both programs. And so I think I expect a really hard fought, tight, tough football game.
Appreciate your time, Coach.
Sure.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us today.
All right. Thank you.
Sure. Great win Saturday against a really good football team. It's good to be 5-0 and not satisfied, which I think everybody kind of is in comparison to last year, maybe when we were 5-0 and feeling really good about ourselves. But I thought we came out, we played great on defense. Really flew around, shut them down. Team played with a lot of energy offensively, made some big plays early in that game, and really had an opportunity to kind of not put them away, but distance ourselves early. We're up 14-0 and have the ball, get the ball down to about the 7. The interesting thing I think today in football with us speeding up the clock and shortening the plays is I notice there's a lot fewer measurements going on, and it appeared on tape our guy had the first down. We came up 4th and 1, went tempo, right tackle went the wrong way, got stopped. So that was a missed opportunity. We could have gone up 21-0 there. Then got the ball down there again, had to settle for a field goal. But big play on defense, interception for a touchdown, 3-score lead. Third quarter, kind of we're going through a little something here right now that we got to work our way out of. Particularly on offense, we're really just struggling from an execution standpoint. We called 3 passes, opened the third quarter against Utah State, and then next series, 2 out of 3 and thrown interception. Saturday we came out throwing the ball again, but we got to get better execution from the quarterback position in third down, and he knows it. It's evident when you watch the tape. I don't know what's going on there. We feel like we're getting a lot of sort of bad habits coached out of Jordan, coming from two programs that didn't win to a program that wins a lot. And, I don't think it'll be an issue going forward. But we made the adjustments we had to make to win the ball game, sort of held on. So displeased that we didn't finish them the way we should have. Utah State also, but bye week comes at a good time, and looking forward to it.
All right, thank you, Coach. We'll start off with David Teal. David?
Curt, when you mentioned coaching bad habits out of Jordan, can you elaborate? Is it attention to detail, little things, technique? What is it?
It's a little bit of everything. Can prepare a little better during the week, can take care of his body a little better in the weight room, off the field maybe. And as the game gets going, maybe your self-talk, what's going on here. Against Virginia, I thought maybe he was gassed because it was really hot. Troy, we did score one touchdown third quarter against Virginia. Against Troy, we did kick a field goal. But the last 2 weeks, it's not really heat related where you're getting gassed because it's been cooler temperature. And it's just really general execution, like what's going on here. He's aware of it. We're aware of it. No need to gloss over it. It is what it is. And, it's affecting our production.
And then just real quickly, did you anticipate before the season that you would have such a quick strike offense? I believe you have 8 pass completions of more than 40 yards already.
Yeah. We were rebuilding our receiving core. This pass game was a little different. South Alabama's got a good defense, and they changed up some tendencies against us. Played a lot more cover 2 on third down and dropped 8 quite a bit more. It did open up some quarterback scrambles for positive gains, but they sort of neglected the tight end a little bit, and Horton made 2 good runs. The one at the end of the game, they're just in a house blitz, and we're in 2 tights, 2 by 2, and we run a counter into the boundary and pull the ball and slip the tight end out, and he's unaccounted for. And he breaks the tackle for a long run. So it's kind of a sucker play, called at the right time. Worked out for us, but explosive plays are a big factor in winning football games, and they got to continue.
Go over to Shane. Shane?
Yeah, Curt, to follow up a little bit on Saturday where you talked about, running the ball more in the second half when you have a lead. Do the new clock rules play into that at all as far as, feeling like you can really shorten the game once you get up by a couple scores?
Not really. I mean, that really wasn't the thought process. I mean, we came out and threw two passes, got a penalty, threw a couple more. And even on the runs, we have an RPO called where the ball may get thrown, but it, didn't because of the coverage. And then the next series, we sort of had mis-execution on 3 more passes and an interception. So that kind of put us into a too tight run game at that point where, before you win the game, you got to make sure you don't lose it. And I mean, we want to attack. The offensive coaches want to attack. Fans like to be, fans want to be entertained, and they like when you throw the ball. But at the end of the day, man, you got to win. So that's what we had to do to win as the game went on.
Yeah, and you mentioned execution in the third quarters, and it seemed like you were talking about Jordan a lot. But what about, I guess, first down runs and things? Are you looking for more?
Look, again, we come out against Utah State the first series of the third quarter and threw the ball 3 times. We were 3 and outs against Utah State. The next series, we come out, throw it twice, and throw an interception. It's not – look, if you don't convert on the passes, then you're 3 and out. So,
All right,
now
thank you.
if the passes connect, you start moving down the field and you get more runs, more passes. We come out throwing the ball. We threw it 4 out of 6 plays here in the first drive of the third quarter. We threw it 2 out of 3 plays, got saved by a penalty, threw it 2 more times. And they're open. They're plays that should be executed, that we have to execute.
Thank you, Curt.
Time for one more from Joseph. Joseph.
Hey, Coach. You mentioned how well the defense is playing right now. In terms of defending the run, you guys were really great at that last year as well. In the move from FCS to FBS, was that a point of emphasis for your coaching staff, or is that more of a result of the kind of personnel you have in the front seven there?
Well, we've always been really good against the run since I've been here, starting with Corey Heatherman and Bryant Haynes, and that philosophy never really changed. And we got good players, and we're going to stop the run. That's a program philosophy, is you got to be able to run the ball effectively and stop the run. And our linebackers fit the gaps. Our D-line's playing extremely well, and our guys are flying around and playing a great effort. And that's one thing I'm going to say about this team right now. No one's satisfied, but this team plays hard. They have one vision. They're together, and they fly around. And about 85% of them, we got 2 or 3 on the offensive side mainly that can step it up a little bit.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was a big first conference win for us as a program, as a new staff, new team together. It was a little unique jumping out on them, returning the opening kickoff, getting up quite a few points at half, and then trying to hold on. But I thought our guys played hard. It was a fun environment, and excited to get on the road again this week and go to Louisiana. Questions?
All right, thank you, Coach. We'll start off with Dan McDonald. Dan.
Morning, Coach. Have you
Morning.
figured out where the defensive unit went at halftime?
Yeah, I mean, it was really probably a combination of offense, defense, special teams, coaching. It was just a little bit of everything. It was when you're up that many points, it's one of those deals where you're trying to be smart, and we knew we had a big game the next week, and trying to keep guys healthy and kind of hold on. But you're playing a good team that didn't quit, and you look at the touchback play, you go down and you score that one. I think it's a completely different ball game. And so just small plays like that throughout the game that was able to keep them in it. And so if that's our biggest problem all year, is that we're up a lot of points at halftime and trying to figure out how to hold on, I'll take it every time.
When they got back within 6, what does it say about your guys? Because next time they went out there, you got the big stop you needed, and then scored late to put it away.
Yeah, it kind of felt like the Nevada game, to be honest with you. Like, yeah, feel like we're gonna win this one, but we better, come on, one of those type deals. And our guys, they believe, they got great confidence in themselves. Our coaches got great confidence in our players and the scheme and what we're doing. So we just we got to continue to play hard and get better. And it's still a lot of football to be played, so we got to continue to get back to work tomorrow on the practice field and get better.
What do you see from the Louisiana team? And in fact, there's one more related thing. I know you were not there, but Texas State's never beaten Louisiana. Is that a motivational thing that you use?
Not really, just because, just like I said earlier in this season, like every year is so different. We were a completely different team from last year, completely different team previously. Like there's so many different coaches and schemes. It's just every year in college football now, it's completely different. You got guys on our team that were on different, teams within the conference previously. So it's one of those deals where, it is what it is as far as that goes. I think we just got to go down there and it's going to be a hostile environment. You're playing on national television, go out there and play a clean game and go out there and execute at a high level. And that's one thing I'll say about our team so far, to be true is, besides maybe the UTSA game a little bit, like those big games that you talk about, Baylor, you talk about the Southern Miss game, and really parts of UTSA, we played really well. We kind of played up and then the teams that maybe aren't as good, the Nevadas and the Jackson State, we kind of, just kind of played okay at times. So hopefully our guys will be up, and we'll have a start fast again and play a complete game, because it'll take a complete game this week.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'll go over to Joseph.
Hey, Coach. That one play where TJ pitched it to your running back who took it down to, the opposite 1 yard line to have it stripped. Just curious what your reaction was to that in that moment. Kind of a crazy play.
Yeah, I was pretty disappointed, to be honest with you. One, in the protection to start off with, and then because at that point in time I was really, I was kind of going back and forth on where we were at. Like, hey, are we putting Malik in the game? Do we want to leave TJ in there? So I was worried about TJ, like, now he's getting hit and we're about to play Lafayette on the road on national television, one of those type deals. And then we get the ball off, Ish takes it, all the way to the house. I'm actually talking to TJ like, hey, he just got hit. And then I don't even see Ish that happened. And then obviously on the headset, I hear that, they punched it out. And so I'm talking to Ish on the sideline, just talking to him, just like, hey, you can't let up. It's one of those deals where you got to finish all the way through the goal line. You see it in the NFL, and I think, the guys that run and drop the ball before the end zone, that wasn't one of those deals. Just great effort by that kid over there too, though. I mean, and those guys were playing hard and didn't quit. So just a great learning moment for everybody involved, coaching, players, all that kind of good stuff. So just kind of a wild play, and shoot, I guess that's just part of it. Never had that happen before. I've never had that. Been a player, as a coach, never seen that. So.
Time for one more from.
He was fast. He did look fast though. When he was running, he did look fast. When he ran past me on the sideline, he was fast. So that's a positive. At least we have somebody that can catch the ball and go 90. I guess that's a positive from the boy.
Alvaro, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach. I hope you're having a great day. Well, as a former professional quarterback, what are the main lessons you make sure to your quarterbacks, and how much of that have you seen in Tish and Finley?
I lost you a little bit, but I think I know what you said. Pretty much, I think the biggest thing for me is that sideline communication with TJ, talking to him before the game. You're going to make mistakes as a quarterback. You're going to make great plays. And just really having that real communication and talking to him and not getting too high or too low. And, because, there's a lot of different ways to coach people, but I would say I'm more of a teacher than a yeller or I don't react to bad plays, don't really react to great plays, just more of, hey, what can you do better there? This is what I saw, and really just talking to him. And then Coach Leftwich, obviously the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach, he does the same way. So he's got two guys that play the position at a high level and been around a lot of great coaches and a lot of great quarterbacks. And so we're able to, share that with him. And I think he's really responded to that. And you can tell, I could tell early on that's the type of quarterback he was. So it's been really good so far. We just got to continue to get better and clean up some things, but I think he's playing at a pretty high level.
Thank you, Coach.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. That's all the time we have. Appreciate your time, Coach.
All right, see you.
Yeah, very good game for our program on Saturday night here in Paulson. Have to thank our students and our alumni for creating an electric atmosphere on national TV and really making for a great game against a really good Coastal Carolina team. Told our team that, if you want to compete for a championship, we would have to start out by winning a game against the Eastern Conference champion last year. And I thought they really took that to heart. I thought they did the things that needed to be done to win a big game. I thought the quarterback protected the football extremely well for the second game in a row, not turning it over. And our defense was really opportunistic in getting 4 turnovers against the best player in the league by far in Grayson. And so really good night for us. Get a little bit of a break now, thank goodness, get healed up a little bit after 5 games and get ready to go against a really good football team in James Madison at their place next week. So with that, I'll take any questions that you got.
All right, thank you, Coach. We'll start off with Noah. Noah, please go ahead.
Coach, I think opportunistic was the right word when you talk about your defense. When you brought in Brandon Bailey this offseason, how much of a point of emphasis was it to force more turnovers, which we've obviously seen through 5 weeks this year?
Yeah, definitely. Brandon did when we played them at Buffalo and getting to watch their season. They did the things that needed to be done that marry up with our offense, and that's create turnovers and get off the field on third down. And you look at both categories right now, and one of the huge reasons that we're sitting at 4-1 and 1-0 in the league is we are creating those turnovers. 4 against who's the best player in our league the last 3 years in Grayson, but more importantly, 4-14 on third down. We were able to get off the field against a really good offense with a lot of weapons. And that's kind of been our MO. And that's created, as you've seen in our wins, every win has been 2-score or more wins because of the being able to marry it up with this offense that can put points on the board. You're able to create those 2, 3, 4, 5-score leads, and it's too hard to come back from. So really proud that Brandon's here. He's doing a really great job with our defense right now. Our kids are totally bought into it. They believe in it, and they're playing very well within it.
Thank you. We'll go over to Dan. Dan, please go ahead.
Morning, Coach. Can you talk a little bit about your thought process when you got the ball back with 39 seconds left in the first half?
Yeah, Dan, we've always been one, especially in an ultra competitive ball game. I think that, one of the most critical situations in the game is the last 5 minutes of the first half and that first drive in the second, and we were very fortunate that, we put a tying score on the board with about 3:48, I believe it was, right before half to make it 14-14. And then had all 3 timeouts with 39 seconds. And within this offense, we feel like we can put ourselves in scoring position. The great thing, and I thought Brian did a really nice job of, and at the beginning of the series, we talked about, hey, it's okay to mix in a run here because of having the 3 timeouts. We'll just call it as soon as, and hopefully break one. And we did, we were able to get Jalen out in space, and he creates a huge explosive play in the run game, which really got us on the plus side of the field. Had 2 timeouts left. We make another first down, call a timeout, and then we're able to take a shot in the end zone. And a great throw by Davis to Caleb for the go-ahead score with about 8 seconds left. And so that was a key moment. And we said, if you want to go beat the defending conference Eastern Conference champ on our side, we had to be aggressive, and that's the approach we were going to take in before half, and we stuck to it. We had told the kids that we were going to do it, and they went out and executed.
They had just scored to start the second half, held you to a field goal. Then how big was the interception?
Yeah, I think that was the other most critical error in the game. They come right back, make it 21-21. We have a nice drive, a long drive to be able to set up a field goal, take the lead 24-21. And then all of a sudden you get a tip ball by Weston Wallace in the Cadre's hands. And you look up and it's my favorite play in football, a non-offensive touchdown, my favorite thing in life. And so to be able to get that touchdown and go up 2 scores, that kind of lets you just catch your breath. It had gone back and forth. And then all of a sudden you look up and you're 2 scores up and you're like, okay, we're in a great situation to maybe take control of this game, and got the stop on the next drive. And then we're able to put another touchdown on the board and go up 17. And that was the difference in the game.
If I could ask one more, just kind of on a different subject. Do you have, without giving away any secrets, do you have in your repertoire the butt push play for 3rd and inches, 4th and inches? And would you hesitate to use it in a situation 4th and short, maybe around midfield or something like that?
Yeah, we've done quarterback sneak, and obviously you get a little bit of push from behind. We've done that the last 2 years. I think everybody has it within their package. And as you've seen, we've gotten under center a little bit more this year in our short yardage goal line, especially having Jalen White and OJ Arnold and crew. So that is part of us. We've already put that on tape this year with quarterback sneak with a little help from behind. Now, they're not necessarily right behind. I've seen a couple offenses that get right behind the quarterback. We kind of window dress things. We give the option of, either going speed sweep or quarterback sneak or outside zone with quarterback sneak. And let the quarterback decide what he wants to do.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Dan. And we got Joseph, we got time for one more real quick.
Yeah, hey coach. So you got a bye week coming up this week, and then after that you have a really tough stretch with JMU, Georgia State, who's only lost once, Marshall's in about a month. What's going to be the biggest point of emphasis for your team in terms of getting ready for that stretch over the next 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's kind of keeping that middle discipline that we have already. We've made each game just the most important thing and keeping the focus on just trying to go 1-0. I know that's coaching cliche, but I think in today's time, especially in this conference, if you don't bring your A game, you're going to get your butt beat. And you have to be such a mental discipline and not looking one game ahead, that you have to pour everything you have into it. This is as competitive a conference as there is from top to bottom in the country, in my mind, when you look at both East and West. And we got ULM who just played App State phenomenally, Texas State, who's hot as fire right now too on the other side. So each and every week it could be the difference in winning a championship or not winning a championship. So I think, as much as we all like to be fans and say, oh, what's what down the road, when you're sitting in our chairs as coaches or players, man, you better be so mentally into the moment and focused on that game that's coming up. And right now that game is JMU. And so we'll get a little bit healthy this week, and prepare like heck for a really good quality opponent in JMU.
Thank you. And thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
All right, guys, take care.
Yes, coming back up, it's just a heartbreaking loss to Appalachian State. We played so well as a football team, and to lose it on a 54-yard field goal as time expired was just tough on our players. I wanted them to have an opportunity. We're building this program, getting a win like that is just something that I know would be so uplifting for the players. But I told the players before the game against Appalachian State, they have the type of program that it becomes a statement game, and that and when you're building a team that you want to be competitive in the conference, this is a chance to beat a conference team, but make a statement to the conference of what they better be ready for when they come to play you guys. And we lost that game 41-40. But they made that statement. We delivered as many shots as we got taken, and played well enough to win, but made enough mistakes to lose. And like I told our players after the game, they just made one more play than we did. But it was a game where our defense caused 4 turnovers, had a 4th down stop we thought would be their last drive, and got us the ball back. If we could have just gotten 1 first down, the game was over. And then and offensively, we put a lot of points on the board. And then Jaya Wright was our most valuable player for the game. Had 4 touchdown passes, threw for 250-ish yards in the game. We also ran for over 200, and it was a good overall performance. What's disappointing, we had an extra point. We had an extra point blocked, and then we went for 2 the next time, and those 2 points would have made the field goal meaningless at the end of the game. And it just goes to show you, as you convince your players, that the little things are important. And that's what happened. So anyway, it was a tough loss, but it was a great battle for our players, and one that we could be miserable that night. And hopefully by today, they'll start saying, you know what, we can grow with that. So now you're out of the fire into the furnace, or out of the furnace into the fire, because you got South Alabama. And now we've got to get ready for that. And they won 10 games last year, and they've had a very tough schedule, like everybody in this conference has. And we know what kind of outstanding football team we've got coming up now.
All right, we'll start off with Craig Stevenson's. Craig?
Hey, Coach, Tyrone Howell had another big game for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Just if you could kind of tell the story of how he got to ULM, and then what he does skill-wise that makes him so good.
Yeah, when I first got here, we had a portal/junior college tryout camp. I've been in late June, maybe July. I forget. It's been a couple of years, and he came out and he was Jaya Wright was there, but you could tell right away he had big time skills. He was at junior college and had big time skills, and we went after him full go. And on the very last week after being committed here, Kansas State came in, and he went to Kansas State as a junior college graduate. and then didn't probably play as much. He probably played. I think he played a good bit, but not what he wanted. And jumped in the portal and came with us. So we recruited him again at that point. And that's how he got here. And I want to say he was at Central Oklahoma, a D2 school, I think, to start his career. So he's had a lot of different places he's been, but it doesn't take long to look at a player and see how athletically skilled they are. He's about 6'3", 205, and has great body control. And so he does a good job. But he's a big play guy. Now we have some other threats out there too. We had a lot of receivers on Saturday. We have other people that can that can catch the ball as well. But he's your most athletic guy, and you hope he gets enough touches, or that they double cover him with cover 2 and open some other things up.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go over to Dan.
Morning, Coach.
Morning.
A lot of people are looking at the 40 points you scored, but can you talk about your defensive play in the second half? After that first drive, you kept them out of the end zone the rest of the night.
Right. I mean, the defense, and they hit too many third downs to stay on the field. But our defense gave up, had created 4 turnovers, 2 in the second half, and also held them to only 2 field goals in the fourth quarter. And the defense was put to the test, because I just think they have Appalachian State. I think their quarterback, the one that they have now, is a phenomenal quarterback. And he just does a great job. There's so many good quarterbacks in this league, but he's right there with the very best when it comes to a guy that's big and physical and can throw it and run the football. They've got that. He makes them a very explosive team. And for us to go out there, and of course, Appalachian State, gosh, I've coached against them for 30 years. They always run that football, and they can run that football. Noel's a great runner. But we rushed for, I think, about 2. They rushed for 200. We rushed for 203, about right there. So our defense did a good job. But with that quarterback, it makes it very challenging on them. So like I said, they had one drive from about the 20-yard line. They had one drive left. If we could just stop them, and we stopped them on downs. But they called 3 timeouts, got us to punt back to them, and they kicked a field goal when time ran out. And our defense even did the job then of stopping them on what should have been the last drive if we could have gotten a first down coming off with our offense.
How do you compare what App State does offensively with what South Alabama does offensively?
Well, I mean, Appy State is they're a great outside mid-zone running team. Appy State's become more of a throwing team and a run. They're much more balanced than I remember in the old days when I used to play them. And it was just so much outside zone and some mid zone and some play action off that. They've got an excellent passing attack. I think Appalachian State and South Alabama are very similar, because I think South Alabama has an outstanding quarterback as well. And those guys can get the ball and disperse it to the right people. So I think because Appalachian State has become much more diverse on offense, they can run and pass so well on offense, and they did that against North Carolina, against everybody they played. I think so that makes them a lot more similar to South Alabama.
Appreciate it, Coach.
All righty. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for covering Sunbelt football in our program. Good win last week against a really quality opponent in Georgia State. It was really, really good program win that we needed. Got a tough challenge this week. Arkansas State, they are a much improved squad. You look at how they're playing the game offensively the last couple of weeks with a new quarterback that's been inserted in Jalen Rayner. They have become more explosive and harder to defend. So have our hands full, excited about playing back at home at the Vet. With that, we'll open up to questions.
All right, then, Coach, we'll start off with Craig Stevenson. Craig?
Hey, Coach. The defensive improvement the last 2 weeks, is it a matter of executing better, or is it just guys getting more comfortable, maybe some newer guys that you've been working in?
Yeah, I think it's both. I mean, I think, I really thought the only week we haven't played great or good is the Kansas State week, and we held them under 400 yards, which is much lower than their average had been coming into that game over the last couple of years. I think our guys are kind of finding a flow, and, sometimes defensively we know more than we really need to use. And so we've trimmed down maybe how much we're doing and just trying to play clean football and let our guys be aggressive. And I don't think honestly, we played okay last week, but we gave up 3 explosive pass plays that are still driving me nuts, that we just didn't defend very well. It's lack of discipline and detail. So I think we played some things well situationally last week, but I didn't think we played great last week. We just only scored 7 points, which makes it look good, but I don't think we played particularly well last week, to be honest with you.
At the same time, though, getting 2 takeaways basically in the end zone. I mean, obviously that's the kind of thing you live for as a defensive guy.
That's it. That was the name of the game. The 2 turnovers that we had. The first drive we gave up we were really sloppy in the secondary on some cover down things that we have not had issues with maybe since the Alabama A&M game a year ago. Game 2 was the last time I saw some of the things I saw Saturday with 2 or 3 bad cover downs in the secondary and just being, I think, sloppy and loose with our eyes. But we did get the turnovers. First drive, O'Shea Fletcher, who's one of our more reliable players, gave up one of the shots that I thought was not very clean in coverage. He had the pick, which was nice to see him rebound. And then the other turnover was very much the same deal. We gave up I thought, credit to Georgia State for executing, but I thought a very poorly defended play and how we played it from a coverage technique standpoint. And then Buddha really manned up on the goal line and forced the fumble on the option play, and we recovered. And that was really kind of the putting the game on ice.
Thank you.
Go over to Dan.
Morning, Coach. Can you talk about what your defense was able to do to pretty much neutralize their offense, and especially Granger, the quarterback?
Yeah, I think the thing we did best was control the line of scrimmage. We gave up 104 yards rushing to a team that had been really running the ball very effectively on everybody they had played. Like I said already, I was very disappointed with maybe how he played some things in the secondary at times. It was probably the second worst performance maybe by our back end that we've had since I've been here, to be quite honest with you. And to do that and only give up 7 points means somebody else played really well. And I think our D-line played really well. They were extremely disruptive and really controlled the line of scrimmage. So I think that had a lot to do with it. And then, a quarterback like him, you've got to account for him on every play, and he's got to feel that he's not going to be left alone. So there's times in certain calls where, quite honestly, we'd rather the running back keep the ball and make sure the quarterback knows somebody's going to be accounting for him on every single play, because that you affect the quarterback, it usually gives you a chance to win the game.
Was it frustrating for you? You have that great drive first quarter. You have another solid drive. You get held to field goals, both times short field goals, and then they score, and suddenly you're down at halftime. Was it a little frustrating, or was that just like motivation for your guys?
Yeah, it was frustrating. We didn't capitalize in the red zone. We scored all our red zone opportunities, but 2 of them kicked field goals, which is very disappointing. But, we're down at halftime, and I told our guys, hey, we've got them right where we want them. I like being down at halftime. We're actually pretty good here when we're down at halftime. We're better down at halftime, I think, than we are ahead.
If I could ask one more sort of different subject question, without giving away any secrets or anything, do you have the butt push play, the 3rd and inches, 4th and inches, and just hypothetically, if you had it, 4th and inches in your own end of the field, would you ever possibly use it?
Yeah, we've gone for it a decent amount. We've got a couple. We actually were about to try one on Saturday, and we jumped off sides. Now, it wasn't going to be a sneak. It was going to be something different. But we've got a couple things we like in short yardage. I wouldn't call it the butt push play, though. I'm not going to go there. But yeah, we will try it. And we'll use it when we have the opportunity.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Appreciate it, Dan. Sorry, that's all the time we have. Appreciate your time, Coach.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Yeah. So, big week. Certainly we need to bounce back. We get to come play back at home, which is always a good thing. It's our Louisiana Salutes game, where we honor those veterans and people, servicemen and women who've served our country. So that's always a big deal for our players. And on top of that, you're playing a really hot Texas State football team. It's our first Western Division game. So a lot of stuff for us to be excited about, and certainly, want to get back in the win column before a bye week. So, got a lot of stuff to be excited about this weekend, and certainly a lot of motivation to try to go out there, play well, and win a game at home.
All right, thank you, Coach. We'll start it off with Joseph. Joseph, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach. From a personnel standpoint, what particularly concerns you about going up against this Texas State team?
Well, I mean, it's just more than maybe personnel. It's just as much stuff as they do. Offensively and defensively, they're very multiple, and they have good personnel. The thing about it is that I think they do a really good job of putting their personnel in position to go make plays, and defensively, they're going to bring it from all over the place. It's kind of hard to tell where it's coming from, and they've got good players doing it. They play really hard, play fast on defense. Offensively, certainly it's got to start with the quarterback, who obviously, we know him pretty well, being from Louisiana. He's a heck of a player, he's a really good player, and he's playing great over there. He's making good decisions. He's got all the arm talent, everything you need. And on top of that, recently, in particular, they've been running the ball well. So, they've got really good personnel. But I think when you watch the tape, the first thing you do is you just look at all the different variables that you're going to have to prepare for. And it's a lot.
Thanks, Coach. Thank you. We'll go over to Alvaro Torres. Alvaro.
Well, hi, Coach. I hope you're having a great day. Well, you have been coaching in the conference since the 2016 season, and since then, the conference has become one of the most entertaining in all college football. What has been the key for that, and how it helps you recruit great or elite players either in the portal, Shuko, and high school prospects?
Well, I think it starts with administration within our conference, and I think the direction that they decide to take our conference, where we went after schools, and we went after universities, and we went after football programs, in this case in particular, that, football is important to. And we went after places. We didn't go after media markets. We went after tradition. We went after teams that are historical winners, and we went after those types of places and fan bases where football is important. I think that creates a great atmosphere. I think our conference is full of really good football coaches. I think we've got guys out there that every week, they put together really good game plans, and you're gonna have to get ready for it. Our footprint, as it's grown, even, not as familiar with some of the East Coast recruiting footprint, but it's obvious it's pretty darn good, when you look at the rosters and you see where these guys are from. So, I'm extremely proud of our conference. I'm proud to be in the Sun Belt Conference, and I'm certainly proud of the growth that I've seen in it. Even if you go back to whenever I was a player, it's not even close. And I think it's a lot of people that I think football is important to. And I think there's been a lot of resources allocated towards that. And I think that you've got a lot of people, that are recruiting kids within those footprints in the area that we're at. You can get really good football players, and you can go and you can play toe to toe with anyone if you play well. And that's kind of how our league is. You play well, you got a chance to win. If you don't, you're probably not going to win.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep.
Thank you. We'll go over to Dan. Dan.
Morning, Coach. Morning, Coach. What's the challenge for your guys defensively, going from playing a team that plays basically prototypical Big Ten football to a team that plays what Texas State is doing now, especially what they're doing this year?
He kind of broke up there, but it's certainly it's kind of polar opposites a little bit, as far as play style goes. Texas State, they're gonna spread you out sideline to sideline. They play with a lot of tempo, which is exactly the opposite of what we saw last week. So we've had some issues with that in the past that we've got to get cleaned up, and we got to get corrected, because they live on the big play, on offense and on defense. But offensively, they're going to try to get an explosive. They're going to try to tempo you, and then it's on. Like, that's kind of what they live for a little bit. So we got to do a really good job. We got to control the line of scrimmage, because they have run the ball really well, especially recently. On the perimeter, you got to limit the explosives, and you got to get those guys on the ground, which is easier said than done. They've got really good skill. They get the ball to them in a variety of different ways. So you got to be physical. Whenever you do get to tackle, you got to be sure tacklers when you get there. You can't live in the big play world on against these guys either way, because they're gonna create negatives on defense, which is what they thrive on, and then on offense they're gonna get some explosives, and that's when they're really at their best, when they're rolling with that tempo. So there's a lot of challenges there for us, for sure.
Appreciate it, Coach.
All right. Thank you. And thank you, Coach. Do appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you guys joining today. Coming off another tough loss where we got behind a lot early. Texas State ran the opening kickback, and we threw an interception on the first play of the game. And just like that, you're down 14-0. I thought our kids never quit. We battled back and got it to a 6-point game, in the fourth quarter, and just couldn't make the play to get over the hump and win the game. I think Texas State's got a really good football team. They played really well. Credit to Coach Kinne and his staff. We got another tough match this week versus Old Dominion, a team that's playing really well. Last 2 weeks, they've had, Wake Forest and Marshall on the ropes. And, they've already beaten Louisiana earlier in the year. So really good football team coming to our house that's playing at a high level. And we've got to play better. We certainly know that. And looking forward to the week. So with that, I'll open it up.
All right. Thank you, Coach. We'll start off with Sam Schuyler. Sam?
Hey, Will. Wanted to ask you about Zay Franks. I believe he was logged for 7 snaps on defense this week. Was there a plan always for him to get some playing time, or was that maybe just kind of the circumstances of how the game played out? Then also, what do you just think of how he's done so far, making that position change?
Yeah, we moved it over to corner last week. He took to it pretty quickly. Him and Coach Wilson have spent a lot of time together, and the plan was to play him about that many snaps. And, we've had 3 secondary ACL injuries for the year, so we've got to find some depth somewhere. We actually think Zay's got a lot of talent. He's embraced it. And so we think his role has got potential to continue to grow as he learns the defense and gets more comfortable. He's a talented young man from McGee that has got a chance to be a really good football player.
Thank you. We'll go over to Sam. Sam?
Hey, Coach Hall, can you talk a little bit about the individual effort from Jay Stanley on the run back play, coming down, punching the ball out, and getting that touchback for you guys, and really how important that was at that point in the game for you guys?
Yeah, it was huge. It was a huge play, huge by him. As an older guy on our football team, to have that effort play, he's unbelievable at getting the ball out. And, he's a guy that takes it very personally when he doesn't play well and when we don't play well. So it was good to see him run that down. Obviously, it was a critical junction in the game. We had him sacked on the 1-yard line. It's about to get them to punt backed up and have great field position. And Finley just made an unbelievable play to get the ball. It was one of the weirdest plays I've ever seen in football history. So we go from having them sacked on the 1 and, to all of a sudden, miraculously, the ball comes out and they're running it all the way back the other end. And so it went from us getting it on the 1 or making them punt on the 1 to them about to score, and he chases it down and punches it out. So our kids didn't quit. They fought, but, we've got to find a way to execute and play better earlier in games.
Go over to Scott. Scott?
Coach, in the last 2 quarters, we saw your team. It was very well put together. It was 4 touchdowns, 4 forced fumbles on defense, 8 points allowed total. So just after the game, the momentum was high with the players to keep it up this week. Tough Old Dominion team. How are you going to keep that up throughout the rest of the week and come out burning in the first half?
Yeah, we've got to make some adjustments and we've got to play better early. We know that, Scott, and that's something we're addressing as we speak. Like I said, proud of our effort, not proud of our execution early in games, and something we are urgently looking at within every facet of our program.
All right. Thank you. And thank you, Coach. Do appreciate your time.
Thanks so much, guys.
Sure. Well, good afternoon. Coming off a tough loss, our first loss of the season against our really good Troy team. I think Jon Sumrall did a great job in his game plan and execution all the way around. And, disappointment. I thought we had an opportunity to go in there and get a win, and it certainly didn't come out that way. I had 3 crucial turnovers, which, when you play a good football team, you cannot do. And we did it on our opening possession, and then a few more times there during the course of that game, which didn't result in any success for us, as you can tell. But moving into an open date, sitting here at 4-1, I feel very good about our football team. Like I said, it was a disappointing loss. We're certainly not disappointed with where we are at this point in time. We got really good spirits today. We're going to move on and try to get our team better prepared this week. We're going to practice Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Get some guys that are dinged up back, hopefully a little bit more healthier for our next opponent. and just try to learn some things from our first 5 games. Like I said, I'm very proud of our football team sitting here 4-1, and we got another big stretch coming up here the rest of the way.
All right, thank you, Coach. We'll start off with Brady. Brady, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Brady.
So I wanted to start with the news just came out about the 7 p.m. kick on ESPN2 against Marshall. What's your thoughts on another national showcase for your team, this time at home?
You know, honestly, I really don't pay a whole lot of attention to it. We play whenever they do it, but I think it's a great opportunity to go out. You know, anytime you can put your football program on a stage like that, 7 o'clock kick, there's going to be a lot of people that are viewing in, probably some that have never seen Georgia State play. We're fortunate enough to, play a couple of weeks ago right there against Coastal Carolina on a Thursday night. Here we are turning around, and we got a Saturday night, 7 o'clock ESPN2 kick. So, it adds for a little bit more excitement for our team. But for me personally, it doesn't bring a whole lot.
And then looking back at the first games before this bye, you have been outscoring teams 35-6 in the first quarter. Obviously, every coach wants their team to start fast, but I guess what's been the reason you've seen your team be able to do so?
Well, I mean, we haven't had turnovers. And if you notice, we started fast the other night and turned it over right there on a throwaway that we just couldn't get it thrown out of bounds. And, playing very, very consistent. We're not a team that goes in and does a lot of different things. So our players can really, they're really comfortable in our system. They know what to do and how to do it. So, ultimately, when you're confident in anything you do, you're pretty much successful. So we want to continue to doing that, but to be that team that doesn't have a lot of gimmicks and things of that nature. And that way we can play fast and play furious and play strong.
Thank you. We'll go over to Shawn. Shawn, please go ahead.
Coach, you mentioned Jon Sumrall in your opening comments. Can you speak to the overall level of coaching in the Sun Belt? There seem to be a lot of pretty elite guys coaching in this conference.
Yeah, I think we've got a great group of coaches in here, and not just a great group of head coaches. We've got talented assistant coaches. I mean, you look what's going on around with each team in our conference. I mean, there's guys that it doesn't really matter what level you play on. I mean, if you got a great passion, a great commitment to the game of football and to your football program, then you're going to be a pretty good coach. Nowadays it's about relating to the players and being able to get your message across and kind of, manipulating a lot of different things to make sure everything works smoothly. But we do have a fantastic group of coaches, very proud to be associated with this conference, the Sun Belt Conference, and everyone involved. And it's only going to get better. People want to be in this conference. They want to lead a football team in this conference. And we're playing at the highest level, as you can see with the teams that are going out and getting big-time wins each and every week. It's just unfortunate we have to play each other now and beat up on all the good coaches.
Thank you. We'll go over to Alvaro Torres. Alvaro.
Hi, Coach Elliott. Well, I hope you're having a great day. Well, I already asked this question to Coach Desormeaux, but I think that you can give me a really good answer. And you have been in the conference since the 2017 season, and since then the conference has evolved and has become one of the most entertaining in all college football. What has been the key for that, and how it helps you recruit great or elite players, either in the portal, Shuko, and high school prospects?
That's a mouthful. I don't know if I can remember all the things you said, but we have a tremendous group of intelligent coaches in here. We're very creative. We got great offensive and defensive minds. And that just goes back to people wanting to be in this conference, good coaches and quality professionals that want to come in here and make this thing better. And as far as recruiting in the Sun Belt very easily recruits itself. Our football program playing in this conference, playing the level that we play with. You see some of the big time wins that we've had over the last few years. I think when the Sun Belt comes up, people are paying attention and their ears pop up, their eyes open a little bit wider, and they understand it's going to be a really, really good group of teams coming out of that league each and every week. And, what's really exciting about this league is that, we have such a strong competitive from top to bottom slate right there. I mean, you can go into each and every week and it feels like you're playing for the Super Bowl because these teams are so tough and these coaches are so talented and the student athletes that are running around on these rosters are second to none.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we got a follow-up from Brady.
Yeah, one more for the bye week. You guys have started wearing helmet stickers this year. I just want to know if the process behind deciding to do that.
Well, I just was thinking in the offseason, another way to create a little bit of excitement and pride in our football team and pride in our play. So we developed some different goals for each, whether it's offensively, defensively, or the special teams. I just think it's a sense of pride for these guys, and they not only get them for their play on the field, they get it for their preparation, they get it for their academics, and it makes for a good thing. I think it's a classy look. I've always liked it from the days when I was playing, and when you look around the country and you see the ones that wear it, I mean, it does bring a sense of focus to that doggone helmet.
All right, thank you, and thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
All right, guys. Y'all have a great. I'm going to have a great bye week. Y'all have a great day. See you.
All right, appreciate it.
Well, it was a good win for our football team, and I thought, our players, our sideline, everyone associated with an organization that made the trip. We had a great juice, great energy, really, really good road focus. As we talk about, when you go on the road, it's all about creating momentum for yourself and being able to maintain momentum. I thought we were able to do that. I thought we controlled the game from the get-go, so that was great to see. We started fast, and I think the whole key with the momentum thing is in the second half, we were able to answer all their scores. So again, they were never able to really get back into the game because our players did a good job, with maintaining that momentum. In terms of our team, we just need to keep building, improving. We need to continue to stack good days on top of each other. We still have a long ways to go. We're still in the infant stages of building this thing, what we want it to be and what we want it to look like, but we're making significant progress. But, we live in a week-to-week season, and I think everyone in our league knows what it is to go play at Troy, and also the type of football program and football team that they have. I have a tremendous amount of respect for their head coach and for their football program. So it's going to be an extreme challenge for us, to say the least. But again, I was really proud of the way our players competed. We were able to score effectively, answer calls, all the things that go into playing on the road and learning how to play winning football on the road. I thought we were able to accomplish that.
Thank you, Coach. We'll start off with Luke. Luke, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach. I know earlier in your time at Arkansas State, when things weren't going as good as they're going right now, you always talked about the things that need to be done. One big thing you always talked about was complementary football. And we've seen that in these last 3 weeks with the 3 wins. We've seen a lot of complementary football. Where do you feel like you're at in that regard right now? Where do you feel like you need to continue building at? And ultimately, what do you need to do to get accomplished this week other than a win over Troy before going into the bye week?
Well, in terms of complementary football, I think it's ever evolving, and I think each game presents a different challenge when it comes to complementary football because no two games are ever the same, and all the things that go into it are different. The dynamics are different. So I think we've been able to play complementary football in different aspects, starting in the Southern Miss game, and then obviously this past weekend at UMass. But, being able to turn turnovers into points and not kick field goals, but score touchdowns in the red area, being able to answer calls. It's controlling vertical field position in your special teams, all that goes into playing complementary football. And it starts with having great synergy in all 3 phases of them working together. And it's something, as you know, we stress a lot in our football program. In terms of this week, again, it's going to be a great challenge in all aspects. Very talented football team, senior, junior dominated, I believe 6 seniors and 3 juniors on defense, 7 returning starters. It's a program that knows how to win. Jon has done a tremendous job there of building a mentality, a mindset, a level of toughness. The first thing I look at when I watch a team on video is I watch their special teams, I watch their coverage teams, and they're violent, and they love to play the game. So, for us, it's just continuing to get better and better and put our heads down and just keep building to be the best team and reach our full potential that we can as a football team this year.
All right, we'll go over to Jeremy. Jeremy?
Hey, Coach. Good morning.
Morning.
We talk about Jalen Raynor a lot, and for good reason. He's done very well. but over this 3-game stretch with all the points scored and the wins, who else can we give credit to turning the team around? At least who do you think in the clubhouse is responsible for that?
Well, I think it's been a collective effort. And, we talked about is playing winning football at the quarterback position a lot of times is a byproduct of the other 10 individuals around them. But I think it starts up front. It's a line of scrimmage league. I think we've been able to be balanced, which has really helped with, our play passes, our RPOs, our naked game, our keeper game, and then being able to effectively run the football. So I think it's really been, a group effort. We always talk about being 11 for 11 in terms of execution in the details and the discipline to execute over a long period of time. And I think we've been able to do that offensively. We've had very little missed assignments. So I think it's been a combination. We challenged our wide receivers last week that they needed to step up. I thought they answered that challenge. Now this week against a high level quality opponent, that's going to be even more challenging. But I think it's really been a byproduct of all 10 other individuals around them, helping them out and making plays for them. I think the other thing in this stretch, we haven't really turned the football over, and we haven't had very many drop passes, where at the beginning of the year, we had way too many drop passes. So I think it really comes down to the overall discipline and the ability to execute from down in and down out.
All right, we'll go over to Logan. Logan?
Hey, Coach, this may be long-winded, I'm sorry, but you talked about the receivers and you talked about just them stepping up, but the explosive plays is something I really want to focus on, because going back to last season, James Blackman had, I believe, 14 deep completions. This season, Jalen's already up to 10. What do you think clicked in this offense this year, especially with Jalen, and how has he been able to find so much success going deep?
Well, I think it goes back to Jeremy's question earlier in terms of, first of all, we're able to have some stability in the pocket. Our offensive line has done a good job of letting Jalen be able to really go through his progressions, exhaust his progressions, go through with his eye discipline. And then to Jalen's credit, he throws a catchable football. He throws a softball. So, he's been extremely accurate so far with the deep ball. So I think, the receivers running the proper routes, the depths, all that goes into it. So again, I think it's, Jalen's doing his part in terms of getting set up, his mechanics, going through his progressions, the ability to exhaust a progression, knowing when not to force the ball and get the ball down to your second or your third read. I think that's helped. I think his ability to extend plays with his legs, a couple times where we have a deep shot called down the field and he's able to extend the play, I think that helps as well. But also, again, it's a byproduct of the other individuals around them, whether it's the tight ends, the running backs, the receivers. You look the way we started the Southern Miss game in the first play of the second half, that was all Jaquez Cross. Jaquez Cross did a great job. They brought some internal pressure. He was able to pick it up, and Jalen was able to set his feet and throw the ball to Courtney. So there's a lot of things I think that goes into it. I just think we're executing at a higher level right now.
Yeah. Obviously a very exciting football game against Marshall. Wish we made too many plays that caused us to not be able to win that game. I thought our players played extremely hard and our coaches prepared well and those sort of things. But obviously we need to come out on the other side of that one. So looking forward to a great challenge this week against Southern Miss. They've got a great football team, and it just continues to be a great example of the depth of the Sun Belt Conference.
All right, thank you, Coach. As a reminder to our members of the media, if you have questions, jump into reactions and raise your hand. Start off with Sam. Sam, please go ahead.
Coach, you guys were able to create a number of explosive plays on offense. Was that something that you guys identified when you were going into the game, or just kind of what happened in the course of this weekend?
I think our offense all year has been explosive. We need to be more consistent. And that's something that we continue to strive for, is a little bit more consistency and a little bit more efficiency. But our offense has been explosive, and we've been able to do it with a bunch of different guys. We've had multiple guys have over 100 yards receiving. We've had, now multiple guys have over 100 yards rushing. We need to have one of those games where we kind of put it together at the same point. And so that's what we're missing right now is something where, offense, defense, and special teams are all playing at the same level, but also, we've got, both parts of our offense clicking, all of our defense clicking, that sort of thing.
And then how important was it for you guys for kind of the rest of the season moving forward to identify Callaway as kind of a second back for you guys that can really do it all, have those explosive plays?
Yeah, I mean, he's been a guy who's been working hard, getting better each and every week. Obviously, we knew how much talent he had, and we were excited about that. But he really each week has worked hard and earned that right to go out there and make those plays. And I thought he played very well. Obviously, the plays were blocked up well, but he made the guys miss on the second and third level, which allowed him to get through and then utilize his speed and go score.
Thank you. We'll go over to Shawn. Shawn.
Can you speak about the level of coaching that exists in the Sun Belt collectively?
Yeah, I mean, we have extremely talented players. And obviously that's a byproduct of, where we're at, but also of having, great recruiting and having not only the coaches committed to recruiting, but also the programs in general and the administration. But I mean, you just watch the schemes that we go against each and every week. I mean, you better be ready for a battle, and you better be ready for some awesome in-game adjustments. And that's what happens each and every week. There's no free passes by any stretch of the imagination. You're going to get great coaching on special teams. You're going to get great coaching on offense, on defense. And when you combine that with the level of talent that this league has, I think it continues to show each and every week why this is, one of the prominent football conferences in the country.
What have you seen from Southern Miss, and what in particular do you feel your team will have to do well in that game to be successful?
Well, I mean, obviously they want to be able to run the football. They have thrown it better this year, and they have wide receivers that are talented and can go make some plays, but they want to be able to run the ball. Number 3 has been there forever, and done a nice job. Obviously, using him in Wildcat and doing some of those sort of things. But he's just a really good player. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can line and empty and do some things. But I don't think you can overlook number 0. I mean, he has almost as many yards on 30 less carries. So he's been doing some great things. That speaks a lot to their offensive line, what they're doing. Getting that tight end back is a huge piece for them. Very athletic, but a great blocker. And then on defense, really, really big up front. And athletic rushers, really athletic rushers that got a great amount of experience. A linebacker, getting those guys back this season. I mean, the amount of season-ending injuries they had last year was pretty remarkable. And be able to get those guys back is obviously a huge thing. And then in the secondary, they're long and athletic. I think Coach Hall, who I have a ton amount of respect for, one, because he was a better player than I was, but also because he's a great person and a great coach. But, I think they've utilized the transfer portal really, really well. And if you just look at the amount of transfers they have across the board, just speaks to, what they've been able to do.
I'll go over to Luke. Luke, please go ahead.
Coach, meant to ask you this one after the game Saturday, but was kind of in a rush. But what did you see from Marshall's receivers? Some new faces, obviously in that group, but what did you see from them as a whole?
I thought they did a nice job. I thought their coaching staff did some good things to get them schemed open. Obviously, we also on the flip side of that, we had some coverage busts that allowed them to create some big plays, but that doesn't take away from the fact that their players ran great routes and made the plays, which they did. I thought their quarterback played really, really well in the game, not only from obviously he ran the ball well and was able to be elusive in the pocket and that sort of thing, but I just thought he was able to get the ball to his first read accurately and enough to where, they were able to stay methodical, but they also created some big plays in our game. That was something that maybe they hadn't had a bunch of, and they were able to create a bunch of big plays, and ultimately that ended up being one of the differences in the game. I think probably most
prominently in the first drive of the second half. You know, we tackle them inside the 17-yard line, and they get a penalty, so they're at the 5-yard line. They got to go 95 yards, and they did it, and they were able to do it through their usual methodical self. But they were also able to create some explosive plays that whether we didn't execute properly or they did is inconsequential. Ultimately, they took advantage of the opportunities they had and made the plays.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you, and thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, really good game this weekend. Hats off to ODU. Really proud of our players, the way they battled. Gotta get ready for a tough match this weekend against NC State. Excuse me.
Thank you, Coach. We'll start off with Noah. Noah, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Good afternoon. You know, the past 2 years, you know, your teams at Marshall have, you know, played well against, you know, Power 5 teams. What do you think, you know, has led to that? And, you know, how much confidence, you know, does your team have, you know, in coming, you know, having 1-2 games like that already?
I mean, I think typically we get them earlier in the year, so scheduling's a little bit easier. Managing the injuries and bangs and bruises that you have to manage, getting them a little later in this part of the year is a little different. I think, again, where the transfer portal is, you know, it's kind of nullified the G5, Power 5, you know, gap. You know, typically you've got, I don't know, a handful of 10 guys on your team that are, you know, Power 5 players that for whatever reason are with you. So I think it's kind of all encompassing. I don't think of us as the Power 5 team beaters, or we're just trying to play the best we can every week, and trying to figure out what we need to do to prepare really well, play really hard on Saturday afternoons, and execute. We've been in a position where we've been able to kind of play well in some big environments. I think that's a tribute to where the transfer portal is now. It's difficult for me to say, okay, well, we're playing at such and such school, and there's 12 kids in my room that played them last year. So it's a little bit easier now to kind of bridge the gap, but ultimately it comes down to being able to make plays in the game.
Yeah, and then just to follow up on that, NC State, you know, just announced that they're changing their quarterback this week. How does that change, you know, if anything, your preparation and just facing the guy who is just a little bit younger than, you know, what Brennan Armstrong was?
Now, unless they don't show up for the game, I don't think it's going to make very much difference for us. They got a really good team. Obviously, you know, both quarterbacks have played. Both quarterbacks have experience. Again, you know, I'm a big believer the quarterback gets way too much praise, way too much criticism. You know, when they do well, everyone pats them on the back. When they don't do well, everyone blames them. But it has a lot to do with the people around them. You know, the O-line's got to play really well, which they have a phenomenal O-line. Receivers got to play really well. The running backs got to play really well. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of control that the quarterback has, but when you look at a team like NC State, there's so many good pieces around the quarterback. I think whoever they put back there has the opportunity to have success if everyone plays good around them and we don't do what we need to do on the other side.
Go to Alvaro Torres.
Hi, Coach Huff. I hope you're having a great day. Well, NC State often hasn't looked great in their last couple of games. What stands out the most to you about them? You already talked about a little of they are a great team, but what players or what is the most that you stands out for you?
Yeah, I think their O-line is really good. They're big, they're physical, you know, they move people. Did I say they're big? And I think, again, whenever you got guys up front, you can really manage what you do on offense, you know, whatever plays you want to call, whatever play actions, whatever passes, you can use that to kind of fit your personnel skill set wise. When your O-line is good, it kind of takes pressure off of the other positions. And that's one of the positions that when you watch them play, those guys are really good, really big, really stout. They move people, they're physical, they're athletic. They do a really good job in their blocking schemes. You don't see a lot of bust. So that's going to be a challenge for us. One of our strengths on our team is our defensive line. So, you know, kind of going up against their O-line is going to give us a true test.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you. We'll go over to Joseph. Joseph.
Hey, Coach. Big day for Elijah Alston last Saturday. Had the pick six, was in the backfield a couple other times as well. Just wondering if you can speak to his development a little bit as he's been with you.
Yeah, Alston's done a really good job for us. Last year, he was a little banged up, so he kind of slowed his progress a little bit. He came back this year healthy, and really devoted, his time and the energy into getting his body right. And I think, again, what you're going to see is because, everyone respects and knows how good Owen Porter is, there's going to be a lot of guys on the other side of the ball that are going to get opportunities. And Austin's one of those guys who's been here a while, got a really good skill set. I think you got a chance to see him when he actually got out and ran. He's one of the faster guys on our front. But again, it's amazing. Everyone gets excited. We called that same play 3 or 4 other times, and 3 or 4 other guys busted, so the ball didn't go where it needed to go. And that one time we called it, everyone did what they were supposed to do based on the play they had. The ball had to go to the flat. Eli was where he was supposed to be, made a play. And then, his athletic ability and athleticism took over. But it goes back to when everyone, does their job, someone's going to make a play. Someone's going to get an opportunity to make a play. And when you don't, it stresses you. But Eli's a guy who, because of, his work, his commitment, toughness, physicality, all those things, we look forward to having a really big year. And I think Saturday was a glimpse of it for everyone.
And real quick, Coach, when we talked to you last week, you mentioned, your friendship and prior relationship with Coach Pry and how you knew he'd be listening to the Allman Brothers on the way to the game. What's your favorite Allman Brothers song?
I couldn't even pick one, to be honest with you. If I was in the car with Pry, he'd have like 6 that I was supposed to be listening to. Ricky and I are Backstreet fan lovers, so I could probably pick a Backstreet Boys song before I could pick an Allman Brothers song. But I got nothing on the Allman Brothers.
Fair enough. Thanks, Coach.
All right. The comedy portion of this week's Zoom is done. Appreciate your time, Coach Huff. So thank you for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate
All
you.
right. All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, very excited to hear that Coach Huff and Coach Rahne are Backstreet Boy fans. That's some of the greatest news that I've heard today, and I'll make sure that I file that away for a timely response. But now obviously in the game the other day, our football team is not playing to the level and the expectation that we can play to. We're giving up too many explosive plays on defense early, and offensively, we were not able to get drives going early because of some miscues and execution on our end. Those are the things that they're very simple in theory, but ultimately you have to be able to execute when it matters most. And so I think we are playing some winning football in a number of areas, but unfortunately we are our own Achilles heel right now and creating some real issues for ourselves in terms of giving up explosive plays for touchdowns on defense, and then offensively not executing to consistency on some of our drives. So those are the things that our players are well aware on how to get those things fixed. But ultimately they got to show those things up on game day. Was proud of the consistency of our sideline. Our guys stayed really locked in, even though we were down, and gave ourselves an opportunity to kind of come storming back at the end there. And obviously came up 1 touchdown short. But I do think there was some maturity on our sideline of, we don't have a lot of distractions in terms of giving us a chance to go win the game. It's really just about execution errors. And so as always, it is about us, but we need to have an urgency to get some of these things fixed.
All right. Thank you, Coach. We'll start off with Sam. Sam, please go ahead.
Coach, you mentioned an urgency to kind of correct what you guys have at being 2-3, maybe not where you wanted to be at the start of the year, but how do you keep the guys focused and realize that you really still have everything in front of you with all your West Division games still to play in the conference?
Well, I told that to the guys in the locker room after the game. It will be about, in this league, it will be about who has taken the first half of their season and applied some of the success and the adversity best to the back half of the season. And that's a great thing. That's an exciting thing for all of us as we go in, and it'll really just come down to the teams that do it best. And so we're going to do everything that we can. I think our players are going to do everything they can, to maximize our opportunities. But ultimately, you've got to learn from some of the first half of the season experiences. Yes, the record's the record, the games are the games. But I think it's all going to come down to who is most responsive on the back end of the season.
And then as you start to get prepared for ULM, what have you seen from them? What do you think you guys will have to do well this week to be successful?
Well, this is an offense that can create explosive plays. They've got one of the most dynamic receivers in the league. They've got a quarterback that is a scrambler that moves around the pocket, can create explosive plays in the run game himself. And so we've got to make sure that, that we get the things that we're not doing well enough defensively fixed, which is giving up explosive plays for touchdowns in the middle of drives and certainly early in the game to where offensively we're not able to establish a run like we want to be able to. And then, I thought they took a big step forward this past week on offense against App State. You could tell their execution is getting better and better. And I thought they took a kind of that major big step in terms of their offensive execution. I think defensively, they are very opportunistic. They attack the ball. They're creating some negative plays. They were able to take the ball away from App State at some really critical times. Certainly they, really the difference in the game was they turned the ball over at the wrong times as well. And App State was able to capitalize on a very long field goal at the end of the game. So this is a team that I think is getting better and better as the weeks go by. And as we've said for a very long time, as we get into Sun Belt Conference play, particularly on our side of the league, I think it's going to be every single week. Whoever shows up best in that 3 hours is going to come out the victor.
What do you think that Jai Wright was able to do this past week for ULM to kind of take that next step that you're talking about? Obviously, one of his best games of his season or really his career at ULM.
Well, I'm sorry, which player?
Jai Wright, the quarterback for ULM.
Oh, yeah. I think he's getting more and more comfortable in just the timing and operation of their system, right? He's seeing things, the pictures, some of the things of how you have to defend them is going to be similar from week to week because they spread you out laterally. And so they stress your overhang players. And so there's things that you have to do schematically to just naturally adjust. And I think he's adjusting as he gets to see some similar pictures week in and week out. But I think, some of it is just he's gaining more comfort. But he's also, taking more calculated risks. He's a bit of a gunslinger quarterback, but I think he's getting smarter about the decisions that he's making and how aggressive he is at the right time. And I think it's helping their football team.
And then last question, Coach, how important is it for you guys to establish the running and really get that piece of your offense going this week?
Well, it's a huge portion of what we want to do offensively and how we want to operate. There's always going to be games, whether it be schematically or personnel matchups, that's more challenging. And we've got to be able to answer the bell in the passing game in that regard too. But you're not going to win consistently if you can't run the football. And so, we've got to make sure that we have great plans, that we choose good runs at the right time, and that we're able to run the ball effectively, certainly when we need to. And so for us, that's something that I think we have done well over the last year and a half, and did not do well enough this past week. And so that needs to get adjusted.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Thank you. And thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time today.
Thanks, guys.